Okay, welcome to Tales from the Wild. This vlog is really an attempt by me to get more things finished. I am a perfectionist with a short attention span, and as a result, the minute something doesn't look quite how I want it in my head, I can dump it in the bin, which is a bad habit. So this is an attempt to get more stuff out there and to share with you some of the awesome people and the awesome places I'm lucky enough to travel to and to meet as part of my job as a camera operator. Today's episode, this week's episode, last week, I shot it a while ago actually, I'm now in Kathmandu. I'm not in the White Valley, which is where the vlog will be set. Today's episode will be set. It's with my best friend, one of my best friends in Bristol, SJ. Yeah, she's awesome, fantastic climber, artist, writer, poet. I really enjoy climbing with her, and I hope I've managed to capture some of that in this video. We made a film before for the Women in Adventure competition a few years ago, which was really weird and twisted and trippy.
Part human, part lichen.
Today's episode is an escape from Bristol, escape from lockdown, and a lot of chit-chatting about random stuff. If you want climbing porn, I suggest you check out Mellow or something similar on YouTube. That's great. This is nothing like that. I'm going to discuss privilege, death, all the fun things, all the reasons we climb essentially. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. It's not perfect, I'm warning you now. Cool. SJ, what are we doing?
We're going off climbing for the day.
Where to?
We are going to Simizia, to the pinnacle. A route called, a VS called Wit, which is described as one of the best VS's in the White Valley, I think, or at least in Simizia. And I've never climbed it, so I'm quite excited. It poured with rain all day yesterday, so I'm not sure what conditions are going to be like. But we're going to have a look, have a bit of an adventure.
Tell me about climbing.
I think 1998 I started climbing. 1998 and got taken to the Peak District, the Roaches. Basically the guy was with soloed the route really because he was tied on, I was holding the ropes, didn't know how to belay. That kind of like, oh, what am I doing? And wet, cold, unpleasant, terrifying because I didn't trust the ropes at all. Like, they're just really thin, aren't they, ropes, if you don't trust them. So it was like I was soloing. I was so scared, and I still don't solo now because I get so scared. So I don't know how quite it gripped me at that point, but I persisted. Yeah, lots of aspects that entice me, like the puzzle of how to get up this thing. I still get that all the time. I look at it and I'm like, how do I get up that? And beautiful places.
Cool, Ryan, you got a book out coming out?
I have got a book coming out actually. It is called A Feeling for Rock.
Turn right onto the course.
Really? Oh no. Yes, it's called A Feeling for Rock, and all the chapter heading, it's like a mixture of all sorts of different bits and pieces, cartoons and little vignettes, stories, photographs, poetry, loads of poetry. I get more and more into poetry as my main medium. Anyway, and all the chapter headings are different emotions or feelings or responses, and they talk about it, and it sweeps through talking about loads of different stuff. I guess it's trying to encapsulate or depict or describe or reflect a climbing life. So it goes from touch to injury to like the companionship of it, to the creatures around, to the books and literature. Just all the aspects that climbing is, that rewards me with. It's a very rewarding hobby, and it's been the focus of decades of my life, like most of my adult life somehow. That passion has dictated what I do and how I do it and who I do it with.
4136, then turn left onto Grove Road.
Yeah, so it's about that. So that's coming out in a few weeks, hopefully, for Christmas. Put it in your stocking, Sandro.
I will do.
Hey.
Don't you worry about that.
Turn left onto Grove Road.
Do you want to see my cam?
I'd love to see your cam.
Yeah. So, it's not giant, but it's the biggest cam I have. Ooh, look at the action. Ooh, and so small. And so big. Geekery.
It's definitely a magpie sport.
Oh my god, I know. The colours and the shine. Very good. Very excited to climb. I can see the first gear placement, and I'm afraid that's a bit like Gretel and a breadcrumb, and I just want to be dashing off straight up it immediately now. Will I need my big cam, or is that just extra weight? Will I need these? Is that just extra weight? Can't see anything where those would be placed. Any opinions?
SJ's well woke. She's my woke meter. If I ever,
Am I?
I think you are my woke meter. Yeah. If I'm ever unsure about what a shitty white privileged man I'm being, I check with SJ and she says yes, that's true. You are correct in your fear. So cheers for that.
Which is interesting because I think I get it wrong all the time, and I use my daughter as my woke meter because she's a younger generation, and it just feels like she just finds it obvious what's racist and sexist and inappropriate or disableist. She just finds it completely obvious. Whereas, I spent 30, 40, 50 years in a racist, sexist society, so I've internalized all of that, so I have to double think everything and be like, is this racist? Is this disableist? And then I'm not sure, but she is just certain it's in her blood. So, it's a chain, Sandro, a chain of awareness with Romy at the top.
You in the middle, and me and the rest of UKC somewhere near the bottom.
As if. He's a very good man, Sandro.
Alright, shall we segue onto trolling UKC, or the membership of UKC, because I find this very entertaining.
Do you?
Yeah. SJ has caused some controversies on UK climbing.
Yeah, kind of not even on purpose. I always think that I just sort of ask questions in a sort of like quite a naive manner. I'm quite a naive person where I kind of go, hey, imagine this, or like, oh, have you noticed? Like just kind of quite naive, like pointing stuff out, or being like, yeah, I've always felt this. And a couple of things I've written have aroused like a quality of hatred that's been gobsmacking, for a bit of chit chat. I'm like, oh wow. I read them in the end. I didn't read them while they were coming out. All I got was my friends being like, SJ, what have you done? Oh no, I didn't read them. And then ages later I printed them off and read them, and I made art out of them, to my mind, in that I took a selection of like the most colourful comments, and I put them in my book. I climbed for 20 years and it has got much better in that time, but the sexist sort of old guard or whatever has always been an aspect of climbing. And then it's difficult because then I get seen as a spokesperson for women, but as soon as you're that, then you're against men or something, which I kind of hate. And really all I want to do is go climbing and write poetry. That's what it comes down to. And hang out, Sandro, and have nice days out. Yeah.
Lucky you were climbing, eh?
Yeah, let's do it. Right, this is where we're going. If you look at the line, it just looks obvious. It just basically goes out that groove. If you read the description, it's so complicated, I think I might have to take the book with me. I really enjoyed it. I loved it actually. Really good gear, lovely line, good relay. Just, yeah, really good fun. Lovely, beautiful rock. Nice. And now the trees, the view from here is just brilliant. All the trees turning for autumn, and I've been sat here out of the wind, but you can see the trees on either side are blowing. So on the top it's going to be windy, and all the every now and then there's a gust, and all the leaves kind of flutter down. It's nice.
How's it going?
Really nice. You did well on that top pitch. With one big cam, loads of camera equipment.
That's all I need, mate.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Cameras and one big cam.
Oh, this is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a lovely place. And this would be a bit that you'll cut, because I can.
Yeah. This is why we're shooting a 4K, so we can zoom in and it looks like it just pops straight into your head.
Isn't that an edit where you just chop out 3 minutes of I think my general thing is I get more deeply terrified by boredom. That's the thing. Because something dangerous, you've got the thrill, you've got the adrenaline, you've got the risk, and also a sort of weird fatalism. Well, there are times when I've thought I'd die, that I just go calm. Like, I've just gone, oh, I can't influence it now. Whatever, Whereas the thing that really intensifies my utter terror is boredom or being trapped. And those
so
things.
It's not been a good year for you then.
No, it's not been a good year. Like I've had this year, I've had to fight my terror at being, locked down, at being confined. That doesn't suit me at all. It makes me scared. Yeah, I don't like it.
So climbing's the opposite. A lot of people get really scared climbing.
Oh, I get really scared climbing too. Yeah, I think nowadays as well, now I'm older, I look at some of the routes that I did when I was younger, and they're very, pretty run out, relatively, and I'm a bit like, ooh, I was brave. And now I like to do cracks so I can play some kit every, foot. So yeah, I like
sensible.
Yeah, I like well protected routes now. Like every now and then, and I haven't done it for years now, really, where you get on something and you realise how dangerous it is, how far the protection below is, how irreversible it is, how committing the next moves are, how fatal the consequences are, and you just think, I'm an idiot. I've made some poor choices now. I've made some poor choices to be in this moment. No one can help me. And I've managed to survive those moments, but you won't always survive them. And I think now I'm a bit like, you know what, I got lucky, because you don't always survive those moments. And I don't need to skirt it like that. I don't need to skirt death. I think climbing, I try and do a dangerous thing really safely, and still have a nice time. I'm having a nice time on well protected cracks. I don't need to do big, scary, run out loose things.
Any
too much.
routes? Any particular routes come to mind?
Ones that I've done.
Well, you've had that moment where you're not entirely sure you're going to get to the ground again, or at least in a pleasant speed.
Yeah, it's the bits where you kind of wobble in the middle of it, isn't it? Yeah, I do remember. It was only an E1 actually. It was in the gorge, and this was about 10 years ago. But it sort of sticks in my mind because there were some committing moves up and up and up, with gear well below, and I could see a really great break, and I'm like, that's fine. So you keep on going up and up and up and up, and got to the break, and the whole break was full of water. It's full of water. So I put my hands in, and it's slime and water, and it's just going to be awful consequences. So something that should have been good was slime and water, and then I'm trying to put cams in blind in this slime and water, and then had to traverse left for ages, and it was I don't know. I can't convey how bad it was. It was miserable, and it wasn't even a good grade. There was not even
climb and at least do it on something exciting.
It wasn't even any glory to it. It was just like, ooh, this is just, the fall is going to be so nasty and everything's slimy and wet. And it went on like that for a bit.
And there's a route here, which is the closest I think I've come to.
Oh yeah, do tell.
I was like a VS, but I should have checked I think a lot of it had fallen down since it had been put up. It hadn't been climbed, it was super wet, it'd been in the shade, it was
greasy.
heavily vegetated.
Greasy. Yeah.
And I got halfway up, I realised, I hadn't put any gear in several metres. I kept climbing, everything was loose, all the pockets were full of mud and water.
Yeah.
I kept clipping these little branches coming out the side, like that might slow me down or something.
Yeah.
And my brain just went into super simple mode.
Yeah.
I'd been listening to this Israeli vibration song about standing on solid rock. I think it's about Moses and the Ten Commandments. I just had this lyric, standing on a solid rock, on repeat. That's all I thought about. The entire climb, that's in my entire mental capacity, was that one reggae lyric.
Yes.
And then I got to the top and was like, whoa!
Yeah.
I was so psyched. I was so pumped. I don't know.
Yeah, on that VS, it was like the looseness of it. Yeah.
But then the chemicals in your brain when you think you might die and you don't die it's a pretty good high.
Oh yeah, it is. There's a lot about the chemicals. I'm quite keen on the chemicals.
Recreational chemicals.
To be honest, I'm quite good at the chemicals. I think I make them pretty well. They're pretty good, and they last for a while.
The natural
yeah,
nothing too dodgy.
Yeah, I remember the first time I did a multi-pitch, and this was like early days. I was utterly terrified, and I was just really scared of heights. I was so scared of heights, and we went again at the gorge, and that thing that you say you come down to one line of a song, I came down to the sort of 6-foot vision, where I refused to look at anything other than the sort of body-shaped thing between my feet and my hands. I had a line in my head. Oh God, I remember this now. Which is, it's just, what is it? It's just a little wall at the end of my garden, or something like that. It's just a little wall at the end of my garden. It's just a little wall at the end of my garden. It's just a little. And I said that for about 2 hours for the entire multi-pitch. 3 hours of. Just a little wall at the end of my garden, and that was it. Just like
just keep moving.
Scared, just keep moving, and so frightened of the heights. It is weird.
So do you think that's like your brain trying to stop you from panicking?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those situations where if you panicked,
it wouldn't be good.
You wouldn't help yourself. It would not.
No. And I think there is that. If you're going to climb, you've got to be one of those people that when it gets really bad, things get simple, like you say. And you keep doing the things you need to do, and you might die or you might not, but you've given yourself a chance. You've kept doing the things you need to do. And I think generally, when it hits it, I've seemed to have carried on and gone into that mode, which is lucky, because if you don't go into that mode, then I think you'd have to stay at very low grade or it wouldn't really work.
Yeah. Do you think that's something that you can train, or?
I don't know. I don't know if you can, really. I don't know if you can, because putting yourself artificially into that situation, I don't think you'd believe it. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be actually you're going to die.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know people who've done 2 driving lessons and that was too much for them, and
too
they
frightening.
couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay, can't drive, whatever.
Yeah.
I imagine they wouldn't be able to trad lead either.
No, exactly, because it's. Well, I don't know. The thing about driving is not so much about killing yourself; it's about killing other people, isn't it? Maybe, I don't know. That strikes me as the horror of cars.
Yeah.
Whereas with climbing, you kill yourself mainly.
I don't know. Maybe a partner, but whatever.
But they took the risk, right? Did you take the risk coming out today?
But you are sensible.
I am. That's what I'm saying. Nowadays, I'm so sensible. I want crack climbing. I want loads of gear.
Yeah.
I want,
I watch someone belay you before they belay you.
I check their belaying. I put rope protectors on. So I'm really sensible. I'm really sensible now. Yeah, I like that. I kind of have an eye for a danger. And then once you've got that set up, to just have a lovely time. on the rock.
High five.
Another fine day out.
Yo, sorry about the sat nav sounds. It's not perfect, but I think that's okay. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, if you want more, give us a follow, links below.